This is Neonwa, your daily dose of manga and manhwa recap. One channel, infinite stories. Follow for more. One day, the world suddenly came to an end. A pandemic, war, economic decline, and food shortages had signaled impending doom. However, it wasn't humanity that delivered the final blow. It was the arrival of monsters, game-like entities that shattered civilization. What followed was predictable. Just like in novels, metahumans, individuals with supernatural abilities, emerged, and system windows began appearing before people's eyes. But there was a stark difference between fiction and reality. The supernatural beings weren't powerful enough to stop the apocalypse. 3 days later, in the ruins of a once thriving city, an apartment building stood amidst the debris. Inside, a lone man sat in his unit, calmly munching on a bag of chips and chugging a cold drink. He remarked to himself that the world hadn't completely ended. After all, he was still alive and living normally, or at least as normally as possible under the circumstances. He was the sole occupant of the 100-square-meter apartment. His parents and grandparents were outside, lost in the chaos. This apartment had been purchased with a total of 400 million won, half from a bank loan and the other half from his family's savings. The only reason he was here, despite not being wealthy, was due to a tax benefit that required someone to live in the property for 2 years. That obligation had now turned into isolation following the apocalypse. Checking his phone, his expression darkened. The screen displayed a poor connection message, confirming he was completely cut off. He sighed, unable to contact anyone, when suddenly, movement outside caught his eye. A massive bird-like monster was heading straight for his apartment. Panic surged through him. As the creature opened its beak, ready to strike, he instinctively shielded himself, eyes shut in terror. The moment stretched, but nothing happened. When he opened his eyes, a glowing system notification hovered before him. A subject who hasn't been permitted entry is trying to enter. Another message followed. Ultimate shut-in house declaration, passive. Level 1. No one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. Relief washed over him. He had survived, thanks to this mysterious ability. He got up, muttering that his survival so far had been entirely due to his strange power. However, as he approached the door, frustration set in. He tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Kicking and shoving made no difference. The door stood resolute. 3 days passed, and while he was grateful for his protection, reality hit hard. He was completely trapped. Sitting in despair, another system notification appeared. The ultimate shut-in cannot leave the house. Scoffing, he sneered at the absurdity. Ultimate shut-in? What kind of ability was this? Rubbing his head, he lamented his helplessness. The real problem was food. His fridge had lost power the previous day, and he had been rationing the last of his side dishes. Now, only a few packs of ramen remained. Before he could dwell further, another notification startled him. You have hunted a Calican, level 23. You have obtained a great amount of experience points. Your skill level has increased. He stared at the message in shock. Looking out the window, he saw the monster that had tried to invade his home, now lying dead on the ground. A group of goblins had gathered around it, celebrating wildly. Did he hunt the creature just because it crashed into his house? Before he could process the thought, another notification appeared. You have obtained a new skill. A loot nearby has met the requirements. Calculating the loot. His surprise deepened as he read further. Loot calculation is now complete. 2,003,241 won has been deposited into the wallet of the ultimate shut-in. Staring at the message, he struggled to understand. Money? From nowhere? Before he could even think, he noticed something else. The electricity was back. Another notification explained. Ultimate shut-in house declaration, passive. Level 3. No one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. Dignity preservation, passive. Level 1. In order to preserve your dignity, half of your house's functions will be restored. His eyes widened in realization. The money in his wallet had triggered the house's partial restoration. Excitement surged through him. Rushing to his fridge, he confirmed it was running again. Turning on the faucet, water flowed freely. Checking his induction stove, he found it working as if the world hadn't ended. Joy turned to greed as he reached for his phone, wondering if the connection had been restored. However, the screen still displayed the same poor connection message. Frustrated, he scratched his head, cursing the one thing that refused to work. Then, something caught his eye. A USB drive lay on the table. Moving quickly, he plugged it into his computer. Photos began appearing on the screen. His childhood, his parents, his family, A picture of his mother cradling him as a newborn, another of her holding his tiny hand as he walked to school, a snapshot of his father and mother standing proudly beside him, his most recent birthday where they had all been together. His chest tightened. Determination burned in his eyes. He had to bring his family here no matter what. Rising from his seat, he walked toward the balcony, reaffirming his resolve. At that moment, a final notification popped up. Store Level 1. You can buy items listed in the store at original prices. Blinking, he saw another prompt. You have 2,001,001 in your wallet. Would you like to list your first item? Staring at the message, he could only wonder. Just what kind of power had he awakened? The system notification appeared before the main character, informing him that Store Level 1 had been unlocked. He could now purchase listed items at their original prices. Curious, he placed a hand on his chin, wondering what this store was. Without hesitation, he clicked on the system notifications store icon. Immediately, the system displayed his wallet, showing an astronomical balance of 2,002,003,241. A prompt appeared, instructing him to list his first item, with the option clearly presented. He walked over to his balcony window and attempted to leave the room. However, a chime from the system interrupted him, coldly stating that the ultimate shut-in could not leave the house. He sighed, realizing that, as expected, his skill level had increased slightly, yet he remained trapped. One thing was certain: hunting monsters would raise his level, granting him new skills. With each level up, he stood a chance of acquiring an ability that might allow him to escape. But the real question lingered: how could he kill monsters while being confined indoors? Recalling the previous incident where a monster had charged at his house and died upon impact, he acknowledged that such luck wouldn't strike twice. However, an idea sparked in his mind. Perhaps he could target goblins. Without delay, he moved to his fridge, retrieved a water bottle, and without aiming, hurled it outside. The bottle soared swiftly through the air. As he had suspected, it worked. Items could be thrown out of the house? Encouraged, he decided to test something heavier. He reached for a dumbbell but grew frustrated. Meanwhile, outside, the goblins had finished eating the remains of a monster and were preparing to leave. Cursing under his breath, he realized this was his only chance. Raising his right arm, he propelled the dumbbell with all his strength. The weight hurtled toward the goblins but missed, striking a bird monster's corpse instead. The goblins immediately turned, now on high alert. Seeing their reaction, he knew he was in trouble. Glancing around his room, he realized he had only one dumbbell left. Folding his hands, he contemplated his next move. He lacked any objects heavy enough to eliminate the goblins and wasn't strong enough to throw large appliances like TVs or computers. Suddenly, a loud guttural noise echoed. The goblins, furious, glared at his building. Their leader barked an unintelligible command, pointing in his direction menacingly. His heart pounded as fear gripped him. His body reacted before his mind did. He had wet himself. The goblins roared in unison, charging toward the building. But then, a realization dawned on him. This situation wasn't as bad as it seemed. At this distance, he still had a chance. Acting quickly, he opened the store window in the system. His balance remained untouched, and the list item option was still available. Without hesitation, he selected the dumbbell for listing. The system promptly scanned the object, confirming its status as a classic non-slip 3-kilogram dumbbell, priced at $16,991. The exact amount he had originally paid for it online. Seeing this, he deduced that the system's market prices mirrored those from before the world had ended. Then, an idea struck him. He could buy the dumbbell back. Selecting the purchase option, he confirmed his choice. Instantly, light shimmered, and two identical dumbbells materialized before him. A triumphant grin spread across his face. It had worked exactly as he had hoped. Without wasting time, he hurled one of the dumbbells out of the window. It plummeted and struck a goblin square on the head. Blood splattered upon impact. A system notification appeared, confirming that he had slain a level 7 goblin, earning experience points and a deposit of 3,345 into his shut-in wallet. Clenching his fist, he savored the victory. But the second dumbbell missed its mark. The goblins dodged, and he cursed in frustration. Thinking quickly, he purchased 3 more dumbbells. As they materialized, he grabbed them all, launching each one at the remaining goblins. Another goblin fell, and the system rewarded him with more experience points and currency. Then, another notification appeared. His skill level had increased. He had acquired a new skill. Storage Level 1, an alternate dimension for storing items. Excitement surged through him. He ordered the system to open storage. Picking up a dumbbell, he confirmed its placement within the alternate dimension. The system acknowledged the action, presenting an option to summon items. He tested it, and in a flash of light, the dumbbell reappeared in his grasp. Realization dawned on him. He could summon items at will. A sinister smirk curled on his lips. With a single command, the storage interface opened once more. Concentrating, he summoned an overwhelming number of dumbbells, each glowing with ethereal energy. The objects materialized above the goblins before plummeting like meteors. A massive crash echoed through the streets as the weight of his attack crushed every last goblin beneath a relentless storm of dumbbells. The system chimed, confirming the extermination of all targets. The system window displayed a message. 54,661 had been deposited into the ultimate shut-in wallet. Another system notification appeared, asking if the main character would like to list additional items, accompanied by a list item icon. His eyes sparkled with joy. Overwhelmed with happiness, he confirmed, yes. He had listed 10 items when the shop first opened. Various items were displayed in the store. A dumbbell, ramen, water, rice, eggs, milk, seaweed, canola oil, and a half-used bottle of tomato ketchup. Each item had its designated price beside it. He proudly stated, I sold the dumbbell I used to defeat the goblins, along with various groceries and daily necessities. Suddenly, he noticed something odd in his ultimate shut-in wallet. He had lost one. Confused, he questioned whether the dignity preservation function required money to maintain. Then, realization struck. Electricity, gas, and water bills. His eyes darted toward the fridge. This is troublesome, he muttered. Frustration built up as he cursed. Damn those goblin bastards. After he had eliminated them with dumbbells, they abandoned their home. Since then, he had only managed to kill 2 more. He gritted his teeth, finding prey was getting harder. He scanned the surroundings from his window. The corpse of the monster Killian had almost entirely disappeared, leaving only the head. There isn't a single creature here, he sighed. He needed another way to hunt. Gazing at the sky, he wished for a dumb calican to fly by. Just as the thought crossed his mind, his eyes widened. Another calican appeared. Excited, he bolted inside. The gods haven't abandoned me yet, he declared. Rushing to set up a trap, he tied a hand mirror to a drying rack, placing it on the balcony to reflect sunlight. The light caught the calican's attention, luring it in. The bird monster lunged toward him, but the ultimate shut-in system kept it at bay. It flapped furiously, trying to break through the invisible barrier. Watching its futile attempts, he smirked. It's a done deal. I'll definitely level up if I kill this thing. Suddenly, the calican flapped its wings with immense force, generating a gust of wind. Shielding himself, he closed his eyes. When he opened one cautiously, the bird had vanished. His heart pounded. Then, he spotted it, perched just above his flat, ready to strike. Sweat trickled down his temple as the calican pecked at the blue shield protecting his apartment. System notifications flooded the screen. An unauthorized entity was attempting to enter. Panic set in. Is that thing really about to break through? He had to act fast. Opening the system store, he reviewed his listed items. The loot calculation only worked if the corpse remained nearby. He recalled how some goblins had taken fallen allies away, preventing loot registration. His eyes flickered toward an item in the store. Canola oil. His mind raced. Could this work? Without hesitation, he purchased 10 bottles. Instantly, they materialized before him. Grabbing them, he rushed to the kitchen, poured the oil into a pot, and set it to heat. He wrapped a stick with paper, secured it with tape, and dipped it into the hot oil. Then, an idea struck. He listed the boiling oil in the store. A system notification confirmed. Boiling hot canola oil has been listed. Lighting the makeshift torch, he approached the balcony. The calican still loomed above. Taking a deep breath, he summoned the boiling oil directly above the monster. A cascade of scalding liquid drenched the bird. It screeched in agony. Without wasting a second, he thrust the burning torch at it. Flames erupted. The calican writhed, plummeting to the ground. Watching from above, he grimaced at its agonizing cries. Moments later, its body stilled. A system notification appeared. You have successfully defeated a level 27 calican. Massive XP gained. New skill acquired. Loot calculation in progress. Then, 9,003,047,487 deposited into his wallet. His jaw dropped. That's almost 10 million won. Before he could process his windfall, another system notification appeared. Requirements met. House territory expansion has begun. His apartment trembled. Panic set in. His eyes turned black. Something strange was happening. A dome-like aura expanded from his apartment to the hallway. Then, he saw them. People. His blackened eyes focused that, they're my neighbors. The main character, in a state of panic, raised his hand towards his eyes and questioned what was happening to him. He suddenly found himself able to see people. His neighbors. However, just as quickly as the change had occurred, his eyes returned to normal from their previous blackened state. Confused, he growled, recalling that he had just seen his neighbors from his apartment. The narrative then introduced the neighbors, a family of 4. The father, Choi Hyung-jun, his wife, Park Hyun, and their 2 daughters, 6-year-old Choi Naeun and 3-year-old Choi Seoyeon. A system notification window appeared before the main character, informing him that he had discovered beings who met the requirements to be taken in as citizens. The system prompted him, asking if he would like to grant them citizenship. As he studied his own feat, he questioned the system about what would happen if he chose not to grant them citizenship. The system promptly replied that beings without citizenship would be expelled from the house. It then asked once more if he was certain about refusing them citizenship. The main character took a moment to contemplate. He realized that if he did not grant them citizenship, they would be left vulnerable to the threats outside, particularly the monsters. After careful consideration, he instructed the system to grant citizenship to all 4 members of the family. The system confirmed that Choi Hyung-jun, Park Hyun, Choi Naeun, and Choi Seoyeon had been given citizenship. As he observed the system window, he speculated that he might have unlocked additional skills related to citizenship. Deciding to investigate further, he checked his abilities. He discovered that he had gained a new skill, Ultimate Eyes. The skill description indicated that nothing within the house could escape his sight. Curious, he inquired if he had any abilities related to his citizens. The system displayed another skill, Ruler's Declaration, a passive skill at level 6, which ensured that no one could enter the house without the ruler's permission. Within the same tab, he noticed an option labeled Citizenship Management. Selecting it, he saw all 4 family members listed along with their trust levels towards him. The current population stood at 4 out of a possible 600 people. He was shocked to learn that he could grant citizenship to up to 600 individuals. Opening the profile of Choi Hyung-jun, he observed that the man was at level 9, with a trust level of 24 towards him. Choi Hyung-jun had no awakened ability, and both his experience point distribution rate and money distribution rate were set at 0%. Additionally, the system allowed him to assign quests and even expel citizens. Staggering at this revelation, he pondered the meaning behind the experience point and money distribution rates. He deduced that it referred to the amount of experience and money he could share with his citizens. Grinning, he questioned whether this was how he was meant to become stronger. Curious about the quest function, he selected the option to assign a quest to Choi Hyung-jun. A system window appeared, displaying 4 parameters: quest description, time limit, reward, and penalty for failure. He was astonished to find that he could manually input the quest details. Deciding to experiment, he created a simple quest: hunt a goblin. The time limit was set to 168 hours, with a small amount of experience as a reward and no penalty for failure. The system prompted him to confirm whether he wanted to issue the quest. However, an idea struck him. He wondered how far he could push the penalty for failure. He instructed the system to change the penalty from none to death. The system made the change accordingly, and then asked again if he would like to issue the quest. At that moment he hesitated. Ultimately, he chose not to issue the quest, and the system confirmed that it had been cancelled. Sitting down on the floor, he contemplated the implications of this power. If he desired, he could kill his citizens at any time. He realized that he could create an impossible task and set the penalty as death, meaning he held the power over their lives. This realization made him grow serious. Reflecting on his newfound abilities, he activated his Ultimate Eyes skill, causing his eyes to turn black. He observed the family of 4 sitting around a table, their heads lowered in despair. The wife, Park Hyun, looked at her husband, Choi Hyung-jun, and asked what they should do next. Choi Hyung-jun, deeply troubled, placed his hand on his head and stated that he had no choice but to leave the house to find water. He instructed his wife to stay with the children and wait for his return. She protested, saying it was too dangerous. He acknowledged the risk but insisted they had no other option. She then questioned whether any place would still have water. Choi Hyung-jun, looking down, mentioned that he planned to check a nearby convenience store, reasoning that a store of its size might still have supplies. At that moment, their daughter, Nayeon, voiced her thirst. Park Hyun tried to console her, while Choi Hyung-jun, steeling himself, placed his hand over his wife's and reassured her. He asked if she trusted him, promising to return with something. Though unwilling to let him go, she knew she had no choice. Meanwhile, the main character deactivated his ultimate eyes and realized that the family situation was far worse than he had initially thought. They had no water. He accessed the system store and examined his item list, wishing there was a way to store more supplies. He then opened his skill window and observed 3 skills under Ultimate Shut-in, Store, Dignity Preservation, and Storage. Each required 3 points to level up. Excited, he clenched his fists as the system asked if he would like to upgrade the Ultimate Shut-in Storage skill. He agreed, and a bright blue light shimmered from the system window. The store was now at level 2, increasing the number of items that could be listed by 20 and applying a 10% discount on all items. Contemplating further, he decided to invest his remaining 2 points into Store and Dignity Preservation. With Store now at level 3, he gained the ability to restore old items to their original condition. Pleased with this function, he felt that increasing the store's level had been worthwhile. Opening the store again, the system displayed that items could now be purchased at their original price. Without hesitation, he bought water and jeju tangerines. Determined, he resolved to enhance his other skills as well. The system prompted him about upgrading the Dignity Preservation skill, and he agreed. He realized that by providing electricity and water to his neighbors, he could request many things in return. The system notified him that Dignity Preservation was now at level 2, unlocking the ability to register vassals. Perplexed, he asked aloud what a vassal was. Meanwhile, Choi Hyung-jun prepared to leave the house in search of food and water. His wife clung to their 2 daughters, her eyes filled with worry. He reassured her that he would return soon and asked them to protect the house in his absence. His daughter, Nayeon, tearfully questioned if he was truly going outside, fearing the monsters. A flashback revealed a past moment when the 2 sisters had been playing before a horde of goblins appeared, forcing them and their parents to flee. As their mother consoled them, Choi Hyung-jun thought to himself that this could very well be the last time he saw his family. However, before he could leave, someone knocked on the apartment door. The family tensed. Choi Hyung-jun, gripping a golf stick, prepared to defend them. A voice called out, asking for the door to be opened. Silence followed, and then the voice repeated its plea. Choi Hyung-jun hesitated, wondering if it was a human or a monster. The door opened, and light flooded into the dim room. Shielding his family, he shouted for the intruder not to harm them. But the voice that responded was calm. "Excuse me?" Turning slightly, with suspicion, he asked for the stranger's identity. The main character finally introduced himself. "I am Kim Jae-hyun, I live next door." He continued speaking, mentioning that he had brought some water and tangerines, and asked if they could talk for a little while after they had eaten and drunk. Choi Hyung-jun looked at him in surprise. Overwhelmed, he stood up upon seeing his family. Turning towards the main character, he bowed respectfully and expressed his gratitude for the water and food. He stated that he had no reason to refuse such kindness, and considered the possibility that this person might be able to help them. Leading the way into his house, Choi Hyung-jun invited the main character inside. Inside, the 2 sisters observed the main character with suspicion, causing him to feel uneasy. He wondered if he had shocked them too much. Noticing the blackout curtains in the room, he thought to himself that it was a wise decision by the family, as it significantly reduced the chances of being attacked by monsters. Taking a slice of tangerine, he placed it in his mouth while contemplating. As he glanced towards the dark room, he decided that they needed some light. Issuing a simple order, a blue light appeared in his pupil, illuminating the previously dark room. Choi Hyung-jun, shocked, exclaimed that the lights had returned. The main character instructed Choi Hyung-jun to first give his children some water. Choi Hyung-jun accepted the water bottle with gratitude, thanking him. Calling out to his daughters, Nayeon and Seo-yeon, he handed them each a bottle of water. As the sisters drank, they suddenly choked. Their mother, Park Hee-won, immediately turned to one of them and asked if she was all right. Observing the daughters, the main character suddenly asked them if they liked tangerines. Offering one to the younger sister, she accepted it and thanked him. Park Hee-won told her daughter Seo-yeon to wait as she would peel it for her. Park Hee-won fed a slice directly into her mouth. The moment she tasted it, her eyes glittered with happiness as she savored the fruit. Her mother asked if she liked it, to which she eagerly responded with a yes. Seeing this, the older sister chimed in, expressing her desire to have some as well. Their mother then fed Nyan a slice, and she too was delighted by the taste. A system notification appeared before the main character, indicating that the family's trust had increased. Citizen Choi Seoyeon's trust had reached 50, unlocking loyalty. Choi Nyan's loyalty had surpassed 30, fulfilling the requirements to be registered as a vassal. A system window then displayed Choi Nyan's profile, showing that she was level 2 with a trust level of 57, no awakened ability, and both experience and money distribution rates at 0%. Two options were provided: give quest and expel. The main character questioned whether she had truly met the criteria to be registered as a vassal, but he thought she was too young. Unlike citizens, he could only register 10 vassals, and he needed them to be at least at Choi Hyung-jun's level to effectively carry out orders. Looking at Choi Hyung-jun, a description appeared above him, revealing that his trust level was 31 and his level was 9. The main character realized that he needed to increase Choi Hyung-jun's trust further. At that moment, Choi Hyung-jun called out to the main character, who immediately became alert and asked what was wrong. Choi Hyung-jun expressed his gratitude, stating that he did not know how to repay such kindness. The main character suggested that they talk in the corridor. Choi Hyung-jun hesitated for a moment before agreeing. The scene shifted to the corridor, where the two engaged in conversation. The main character asked if Choi Hyung-jun had received the citizenship he had granted him. Surprised, Choi Hyung-jun responded with a question, asking if the notification window he had seen was related. He mentioned that his entire family had received it about 30 minutes ago. The main character inquired whether anything unusual had happened during that time. Choi Hyung-jun recalled that they had been unable to move their bodies for a short while. The main character remembered that individuals would be temporarily frozen until they fully received their citizenship. With a serious expression, the main character assured Choi Hyung-jun that he would help him return to the life he had before everything changed. Shocked by this statement, Choi Hyung-jun listened as the main character continued, promising that he could ensure monsters would not invade their home. Still sweating and bewildered, Choi Hyung-jun asked if such a thing was truly possible. The main character confidently confirmed that it was. Closing his eyes in thought, Choi Hyung-jun reopened them and acknowledged that such help would not be free. He asked what he needed to do in return. The main character warned that it could cost him his life, and asked if he was still willing to proceed. A heavy silence followed as Choi Hyung-jun contemplated the risk. However, with determination in his eyes, he clenched his fists and declared that he would do it. He explained that even without the main character's involvement, he would have had to leave the house to find food and water anyway. The main character nodded, recognizing the gravity of his resolve. Choi Hyung-jun reaffirmed that he had already put his life on the line once before. Acknowledging this, the main character suddenly shifted the conversation, asking about a golf club he had seen earlier and how much it had cost. Puzzled by the abrupt change in topic, Choi Hyung-jun hesitated before replying that it had been around 400,000 or 500,000 won. The main character thought to himself that it was too expensive to list in the store, deciding that he needed to save money for the future. Confused, Choi Hyung-jun asked why the main character had suddenly brought up the golf club. The main character casually waved his hand and dismissed the question, suggesting they set that aside for the moment. He then inquired if Choi Hyung-jun remembered the day the monsters appeared. Choi Hyung-jun confirmed that it had happened on a weekend. Recalling the goblin attack on his family, he described the experience as truly horrifying. Placing a hand on his chin, the main character noted that those who had stayed home that day seemed to have survived. He reflected that, although a single goblin was not particularly strong and had a lower level than an adult male, their real danger came from always moving in groups. However, he considered that humans had the same advantage when united. Realizing that he needed to grow his army quickly, the main character addressed Choi Hyung-jun. When Choi Hyung-jun responded, asking what was the matter, the main character declared that from then on, he wanted him to help search for survivors together. The scene shifted to the exterior of the main character's building, where the sun was setting. Inside, he lay on his couch when a system window appeared, notifying him that Choi Hyung-jun's trust had increased. He observed the system window and noted that the trust level had risen again. Within the system management interface, the trust levels of all 4 family members were displayed. As he gazed at the window, he reminisced, contemplating the possibility of eventually reuniting with his family members by gradually bringing people in. With a solemn expression, he questioned the situation, his eyes filled with sadness. At that moment, a loud scream echoed through the air, startling him. He quickly moved to his balcony to investigate. What he saw below left him both shocked and surprised. People were engaged in battle with goblins. Assessing the situation, he considered the difficulty of assisting those on the ground. The focus then shifted to the battle below, where the goblins roared ferociously. One individual wielding a baseball hurled it with immense force at a goblin, sending it flying backward. The impact was so severe that the goblin's head burst, causing blood to splatter. Observing from his balcony, the main character muttered in disbelief. Meanwhile, an archer down below skillfully fired 2 arrows simultaneously, taking down 2 goblins at once. Another man, standing on higher ground, leaped down and crushed a goblin's head with his baseball bat. Witnessing their kind being slain, the remaining goblins panicked and fled for their lives. The victorious group stood over the corpses of the goblins. At that moment, the female archer sensed something unusual and turned to identify the source. Instinctively, she drew her bow and aimed in the direction of the disturbance. However, to her surprise, what she found was merely a packet of ramen. Looking up, she noticed the main character waving from the rooftop. He continued waving vigorously in an attempt to get their attention. The archer, perplexed, wondered what he was trying to do. Frustrated, he called out to them, flailing both arms. Just then, a knock came at his door. Choi Hyung-jun had arrived. Upon realizing who it was, the main character looked through the peephole and saw Choi Hyung-jun standing outside, holding a box.